You're here because your child is probably around 12 years old at this time and is getting ready to begin the process of the more heavy lifting with respect to bar, bat mitzvah, or brit mitzvah. And I'm here to kind of walk you through some of the materials that you have. So my hope is that you all have a folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the folder. No, we don't have the folder. You're going to get this folder, but I'm going to show you the folder so you have a sense of what to expect when you see it. You won't be like intimidated by it and overwhelmed by it, and you'll realize that we're doing everything we can to make this a very smooth process for you. So imagine that you have a folder and a packet in front of you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this stuff. So inside of this, so you're going to get a book that looks like this. And this is the prayer book. This version of the prayer book that you'll get is unique and special for a bar, bat mitzvah, or brit mitzvah. And that is because it doesn't have the English transliteration on the inside. That means it doesn't have the phonetic English wording for the Hebrew. So your kid will need to learn how to lead the service with from the actual Hebrew. So then you'll also get a folder that looks like this. It'll have your kid's name on it, and we'll have adjusted dates, but this is just an example. On the inside, you'll see a sticker that looks like this, having to do with tutoring. And it has to do with how you compensate your tutors, which, by the way, you already have paid a bar mitzvah fee or bat mitzvah fee or brit mitzvah fee. And with respect to tutoring, since some of the tutoring happens by Zoom, we have now nuances to the way that we handle paying the tutors, that they just kind of keep a tab of it. However, if you do meet with your tutor in person, then you can hand them a card, which you will get inside of this folder also. And those cards look like this. So it'll have your kid's name on it, and you put the date and a signature or initials, and you give them the card, and this card acts as tender for the tutor, and then that's how they get paid. But again, you'll get these, you've already paid for this. So also inside of this folder, you'll see a piece of paper that looks something like this. And this is just kind of important dates and important information for you to know, like, for example, Temple's phone number. It'll also say your child's tutor will be written here, and their phone number and the email address. We have two really fine tutors who excel in different ways. Most of you know Mr. Katzman from teaching. He's, certainly a Pied Piper for these kids. They love him. He works so hard to help your kids learn Hebrew, and he cares so deeply for the students. Another tutor we have, Cantor Jan Morrison. She is excellent and precise and very and warm and delightful, and she is a phenomenal tutor as well. Okay, so what happens is that at around 6 to 8 months prior to the bar, bat mitzvah, brit mitzvah, what happens is that we will ask you to get in touch with your tutor and to set up times to meet with your tutor. Now, no, I just want you, this is just information for you as parents, but I'm going to stop the share because I'm going to get very personal for a second. So Jill can tell you that I have been trying my best to learn how to play guitar over the last few months, 2 months or so. Now, when I just go lesson to lesson in terms of learning the guitar, I basically improve just this much between lessons. However, when I practice a lot between my lessons, my guitar teacher notices, he says, wow, you really have, that's very smooth, or it's very impressive, or whatever he says. My point is, and I'm using my guitar as a way of serving as an analogy for, or a metaphor for preparing for your bar and bat mitzvah. And that is, if you think just going to the tutor for a half an hour a week is going to teach everything that your kid needs to know, then that's not how it works. You really, really need to make sure that your child is practicing daily. If your child practices from the beginning daily for 15 minutes, 15 minutes is not that much time. It's literally the amount of time between when your kid asks when's dinner and the time that dinner is. That's the 15 minutes. Okay. It's just, hey, quick, just practice your bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah materials for just 10 or 15 minutes while we're finishing up over here. In other words, and I assure you, if you're practicing daily, this process is a piece of cake. However, if you go from session to session, it becomes very hard and stressful, and it becomes a family experience, which is not nearly as much fun, not as pleasurable as the one which is when it just goes smoothly. And by the way, you should know, now I know that the pandemic has made things a little bit wackier. However, ideally, your kid should know Hebrew already through religious school, because of religious school. So really all that's happening during your time with your tutor is that you're learning your specific Torah portion and Haftarah portion. The other stuff, really, they've been able to learn in various different ways. And I know it's been a little bit more difficult over the last couple of years. And so I don't want to pretend like, oh, it should be exactly the same. It is not the same. That said, it doesn't mean your kids shouldn't be starting from square one when they meet with the tutor. Okay, let's continue. Going back to screen sharing here. So, so now, in addition to your tutor, you also have a few meetings with me. Now, these are just meetings that are actually assigned. Everything else, but you're always welcome to set up additional meetings, times with me, as much as you need or want. But these are just the ones that are assigned. So obviously this group meeting, that's today. Additionally, we will have, it's not this date, your date will be written down in your folder. However, there'll be a meeting with me and you and the parents and with the student to talk about something called a Devar Torah, which is a speech that the kid gives. And additionally, I will also spend time during that meeting talking with you about kind of nuances or specifics about the service that you would like to discuss with me, which I'm happy to do and help as much as I can and make it work out perfectly for you. Also, you have a meeting scheduled with me on the Wednesday prior to your child's bar bat mitzvah brit mitzvah. Right after Hebrew school. It says 8:10, depending on when we end religious school. If we ended at 7:30, then it would be 7:40. If we end at 8, it's at 8:10. That's one option, but the point is it's 10 minutes after religious school ends. And also, you have another option, which is to do it on Friday morning, if you'd like, at 9 a.m. And you might say, yeah, but that's when my kid is in school. And I understand that. And just some people, when it's the weekend of their bar bat mitzvah brit mitzvah, some people their kid doesn't go to school because there's various different things that need to happen that day, picking up people at the airport or getting nails done or whatever the things are. That's what usually I get my nails done at around 11:30 or 12. But if your kid's getting nails done, who knows, maybe it's at the same time as my appointment is. But the point is, is that, so another option, if your kid isn't going to school, you're welcome to meet with me for a rehearsal at 9 a.m. on Friday. Now, additionally, at this moment, we're not doing ushering. However, we may reinstitute ushering. And the most important ushering moment is the weekend or the Saturday, precisely one bat mitzvah or brit mitzvah before yours. So if your kid's bar mitzvah is on, let's say, September, so it's hard for me to do the dates right now, but if yours is on October 1st or 2nd, whatever it is, then September 25th would be the one preceding your bar bat mitzvah. If we don't have a bar bat mitzvah on October 2nd and yours is on the 9th, then yours would, it's not specifically the week before, but the bar mitzvah before your kid's bar bat mitzvah or brit mitzvah. Just so you can kind of, especially if it's the first time, your first kid, you don't know exactly what to expect, that what happens is it gives you an opportunity to see what a bar bat mitzvah is like. Additionally, if you want, one thing that I encourage you, if you'd like, is we certainly now have a fair number. At least we have some, or we can get access to some old bar and bat mitzvahs that we have recorded, and you're welcome to watch it. Just so, again, you can just kind of see what to expect. By the way, if we are still in kind of pandemic craziness mode, I just want you to know that by the time your kid's bar bat mitzvah or brit mitzvah arrives, from this point forward, by the way, I'm going to say bar mitzvah, but I want you to know that that is all encompassing of bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, and brit mitzvah. Just want you to know, but from this point forward, I'll just say bar mitzvah. So if we have Zoom abilities to do it for you. We can certainly show anyone who is watching your Zoom on a monitor for you. And we also, by the way, have the capacity to record the video, record your service. What we just don't want to do is have this be a guarantee. If you absolutely need your service videoed for whatever reason, then I strongly encourage you to do it professionally. However, if you would like it, but if it doesn't happen, then it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Then generally speaking, we have the capacity to video and record your service. But just as long as you know that there is no guarantees. Sometimes we've had, power goes out and then the video goes, and we don't want to feel guilty because we've ruined your video because the power went out and our bill, it just happens. And or there are a couple of different possible reasons why something might happen, not to mention the fact that we're just human and we're not automatically thinking our number one priority is make sure we get your video taken care of. And so therefore, if you absolutely need it, then make sure you get it professionally done. If, however, you feel like you'd like it, but if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world, generally speaking, we're on it. Generally speaking, we're on it. All right. Back to the video. I'm back to the folder. So also you will see that in the folder there'll be this handbook of all of our rules and systems that we have in place. Too much for me to go over right now. However, suffice it to say that there is probably a fair number of valuable things in here which will answer a lot of questions for you. I remember when we put this together, we literally tried to think of every single possible question you might have. So please check it. It'll probably answer all the questions that you have. The timeline, as you can see, is the first meeting with Rabbi Goldstein. That's what we're doing right now. Call your tutor 7 months prior to the ceremony is a good idea. Meet a Devar Torah meeting with me. It'll be assigned to you, but that happens months before the ceremony. Ushering and the rehearsal. Inside of this folder is also a family profile sheet. Believe it or not, I have one of these filled out for just about every single bar and bat mitzvah I've ever done at Temple Beth Shalom, which has now been 18 years. So that's like what, 500 bar mitzvahs or something like that. So it's just kind of fun to see the families. And so just if you don't mind, you'll fill this out for us. You'll also have a sheet in there which looks like this. This is a very important sheet because this is the sheet which discusses who's doing what in the bar mitzvah. So there are English reading parts, who's passing the Torah. Again, if you want me to go over this very specifically with you, I'm happy to do so. But I'm just trying to give you a sense of the various different things: undressing and redressing the Torah, ark opening, presenting of a talit, whether you're going to be speaking, and the various different aliyot. Also, we have a couple of readings here for non-Jewish parents or grandparents. We also include in here, this is the blessing for the aliyah before and after the Torah portion. These are the readings on 197 and 199 that I spoke of, which are the English readings as for participation in the service. You'll get a sheet of paper that looks like this, asking if you want to purchase a leaf on our simcha tree, which is it's right outside where the gift shop is, the Judaic gift shop is of the temple. That's the page for the simcha tree. And then under here on the inside cover of the folder are two labels which kind of give you a sense of what your kids should know and where they should be at what point, just to kind of give you a sense of, is my kid on target? Is my kid, ahead of schedule, behind schedule? This gives you a sense of where they should be. This is a sheet of paper with the various different prayers that they do during the service and parts that they do. You'll have a document that looks like this, which is Xerox of a description of your Torah portion, at least a little bit, and also the Hebrew for the Torah portion. You'll get a sheet of paper that looks like this, which is the most important page you have, and by far the most intimidating page and overwhelming page that will be. So this page is basically the best page for your kid in terms of practicing, because this is what the Torah will look like. And this is not what the Torah will look like, because this has vowels and things like that. So I wonder if I can make this bigger. I can barely see this. Oh, there you go. All right. So are you seeing it bigger now that I just made it bigger? Okay. So so it looks like this in the Torah, in the actual Torah, but on this and this is what it looks like with vowels. So the point is that when they're practicing, for example, they can look at the, I wonder if I can, there we go. So they can look at they can practice as if they're practicing out of the Torah, but if they need any help, they can just look at the word with the vowels, and it will help them, practice. So I'll give you, there's going to be a little packet that looks like this, and all it does is just describe your Torah portion, the content of your Torah portion. Again, another one that looks like this, these are just one of a number of pages that you'll have, which just describes the content of your Torah portion. And that is it from this share. So that is what your folder is going to look like. And hopefully, again, that will give you all of the resources that you need to start this bar bat mitzvah or brit mitzvah process. However, there is more. If you go to our Temple Beth Shalom webpage, right here, if you go to our Temple Beth Shalom webpage, And you, by the way, this is a great website and it's got so much. Just want you to know it's got temple updates. If you want to go, if you're interested in our Israel trip, you get it here, annual appeal, all of our upcoming programs. I just get, this is right here. Again, this is the web page. If you just go down a little bit, someone wants to watch your kids' bar bat mitzvah, just, live, there's our live stream page. Just click on live stream like this, and suddenly you're going to our right here, and this is how you watch what's on our what's going on in our synagogue. Now, but back to this. If you go about us, join, worship, learn, and you go down to B'nai Mitzvah, right here, you have Bar Mitzvah prayer list for students, which is what you had in your folder, but just in case you lost it, it's there. Handbook updated, family profile, participation sheet, all that are in your folder. And watch this, service template. This is like, some people want to do like a little a brochure or a pamphlet that they give out to their family, or guests who are coming to the service. Here, I put this together. It's just like a template for it, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Also, if you go below, you have various different recordings of the various different blessings, and also the Hebrew and English here. So if you wanted to watch, me, for example. Oh, you can't hear it because I didn't share the sound, but the point is that you can see all of the various different. I do it for you, so if a kid's struggling, they can practice with me. And by the way, that's not all. I should have. I forgot about this, but that's not all. You see, if you go to our Temple Beshalom YouTube page, and you might be thinking to yourself, how do you go to the YouTube page? Well, click up here, Temple Beshalom, and we've got all sorts of our stuff, but here's our page right here. If you go to our YouTube page, and by the way, please subscribe to our YouTube page, because the more people who click subscribe, just the better it is for us. But if you go to videos here, like I've recorded just about everything. So for example, we got all sorts of stuff here, but tefillah, for example, if kids want to practice the service with me, I'm doing it with them right here. I went too low. Here, Haftarah blessing, the Aliyah, the blessings when you're holding the Torah. 58 seconds. Let's listen. There we go. This was when I had a beard.
Chanting for you the blessing when you hold the Torah. When you get the Torah in your arms, and you after we take it out of the ark, and this is before you've chanted from the Torah at all. You have to do these 3 lines. You do Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadelul Adonai iti, Uniromima Shemo Yachdav.
All right, I show that for you only because to show you that if your kids doesn't know, is lost, confused, whatever, put them on our YouTube page. I pretty much put all the stuff out there except for the specific things that your kid does. So for all of the prayers and parts of the service, which everyone does, it's up there. And so your kid doesn't even need to be embarrassed about like, oh, I don't know it and I'm afraid to ask. Just go to our YouTube page. It's got everything there for you. Last thing, and then I will answer any questions that you have. So one last share, and that is Israel bonds. So, well, before, actually, I'm sorry. I'll get to that in 1 second. Just want to talk to you again. All of this is based on the assumption that everything is back to normal, or at least somewhat back to normal by the time your kid's bar mitzvah comes around. However, I just want you to know that when it comes to inviting people to a bar mitzvah, it's really important that you think about people's feelings. So if you're inviting just a couple of kids from the class, okay, that's one thing. But if you're inviting a fair number of kids from your Hebrew school class, then I could not be more encouraging for you to invite everyone. There is just no downside to just having a handful of more people at your kid's bar mitzvah just for the sake of feelings. And your kid might say, oh, but I hate that kid. Well, then it's a great lesson for your kid in just doing the right thing, even when it feels hard. The fact is that it can be very painful for a kid not to be invited to a bar mitzvah. And if you to think that in some way you have contributed to that because of just you doing what your kid wanted, it's hard. Worse, by the way, I've seen, and this is probably the one that broke my heart the most. I remember seeing a kid ushering because their bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah was the next week. They were ushering at a bar mitzvah in which they were not invited to, even though the majority of their class was. When I saw that, it was heartbreaking. Does not do justice. I was devastated for this kid. So really think about when you're putting together your invitation list, just how, really. So, and I don't want to be flippant or cavalier with costs and stuff like this, but really, how much more does it cost to add another person? And is that worth it? Or is saving the money just, but hurting someone's feelings really tremendously, was it worth it? So please, I ask you to be very, very careful and thoughtful about when you are inviting people to the class, in the class to your bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah, and make sure that if you choose not to, that it's because it's only just a couple people you're inviting all together. Now, speaking of that, gifts. When you are getting gifts for other people, especially when it's kid to kid, it's complicated, what do you get and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I'm here to tell you what I consider to be the perfect gift to get for a kid's bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah, and that is an Israel bond. Okay. Now you might say, what's that? Why do I care? But this is just, first of all, I used to be, and I will admit, I used to be the president of the Synagogue Division of Israel Bonds, so I do care very much about this. However, this is such a great way to get a gift for a kid. You can even buy a $36 bond if you wish, pardon me, and it matures in 5 years. So that means the bond matures when your kid turns 18, which is just when they're going off to college and they can use a little bit of extra money. That's when your Israel bond matures. And Israel bond supports Israel, but it is an investment. It's not a donation. It's an investment. There are opportunities to donate, but that's not what it is. Just invest now in Israel bonds. You click there. Naturally, I have a fair amount of times in which I won't go into the details of my personal account here, but nonetheless, you can purchase an Israel bond. It takes about 3 minutes to do it, 2 minutes to do it. Except if it's the first time that you're investing with Israel bonds, then you have to set up an account. And it could take literally as much as a day for an account to be set up. But once you do, after that, it just takes a minute or so to buy a bond. nonetheless, how much better would it be to be giving someone an Israel bond which matures in 5 years than a Target gift card or a Amazon gift card, or all the things which, sure, it's like, but you've got it's just, your kids just got so much stuff and things and cards to be organized. Just a bond, it's perfect, and it matures in 5 years. So I just want you to hear when I just kind of strongly encourage. I do acknowledge that I am a little biased because the Israel bonds was something which was really important to me for remains, but for so many years, centrally important to me. But it really is it's like the perfect gift. So I think I'm done for now. I'm going to let you ask questions, and some questions I'll be able to answer. Some I think that Jill, who is with me, will be better suited to answer. But nonetheless, anybody have a question? Feel free. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Do you put the English versions of the ceremony on the YouTube site or on the Temple Beth site as well?
When you say the English versions, do you mean like the I'm not understanding the question fully.
During the service, as you go through the service?
You mean like the English readings that are happening?
Yes. Yes.
So it's not on the website, only because it would just be reading English. That said, it is on that prayer sheet that I had, which, see if I can find that really quickly just to make sure that you know what I'm talking about. And it was on the website, but it's this one right here. So these are all the English readings: 207, 203, 207, 10, 11, 12, and 14. These are all the English readings, and that's what page they are in the book.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Anybody else? Question?
If your student needs more than 20 tutoring sessions, is that available?
It's very much possible. It's very much possible. You can speak with the office and they'll kind of make sure and they'll get you more cards, or if you're doing more of it online, then like by Zoom rather, then we can speak with the tutor about just giving you more sessions if necessary.
And then
there is a cost to adding more, because the bar mitzvah fee just entitles you to 20 tutoring sessions, but it's certainly possible, but there'll be an extra cost to it.
No, I figured that. If your child is away at camp during the time that they're supposed to be practicing, have you found that to be a problem for other families? Ours is in November, and he'll be away for most of July.
Right. So put it this way, think about how many kids have bar mitzvahs, in which camp interrupted their training. Like virtually everybody whose bar mitzvah is in the fall in some way had camp interrupt their training, and more, it's half of them are in the fall. So what I would say is if your kid you certainly can kind of strategize in terms of like how it is that how much if the bar mitzvah is if your kid's away at camp in the month of mid-July to mid-August, and your kid's bar mitzvah is August 25th, the week after they get back from camp, well, then you really need to strategize hard about how you're going to do that. And it's obviously complicated. You got to make sure that your kid's really on it while they're away, and that maybe you go into crazy mode right after your kid gets back. That said, I think there are numerous ways of addressing it, not the least of which is that, is tell your kid, look, many camps have like rest hour or whatever. Practice your stuff for 10, 15 minutes, not even the whole time. If they're doing it daily for 10 or 15 minutes, that they won't lose any of it. Really, 10 minutes of practice goes a long way.
Hey, good morning, Rabbi.
Hey,
Question is, do you require a service project? And can you talk a little bit about what that entails and some ideas and some timeline for that?
yeah, no problem. Great question. And Dana, you're welcome. And if there's any issues with respect to like how I can help you strategize for it, please, when it's specifically about you, then I'm more than happy to do so. Now, Ryan, regarding that, I think that's complicated. And the reason why it's complicated is because recently we've kind of dropped the ball on this. And I'm not saying that with pride. I'm just saying that with recognition. So recently, the service project has been very much kind of like done family overseen and done at the level and place and pace that you choose in your family. So we do not kind of make any type of requirement about it at this time. However, we still encourage it. We just don't kind of monitor or require it. It's been a little bit, especially recently, it's been very hard, but over the last few years, it's been a little bit, it's kind of, we've admittedly dropped the ball on it, which we need to grab again. So regarding the Mitzvah project, look, there are two elements of the Mitzvah project. Number one is just an element of tzedakah, which I ask each of the kids to give. I don't say how much. I just say in their bar mitzvah speech, I say, look, I want you to tell me, how you plan on giving a little bit of tzedakah from any of the gifts that you're getting. So that's one part. But then there's also the actual service project, which is doing something. And that can be related to how a kid wants to contribute, or can be utterly unrelated. And depending on the timing of things, a kid could write about it in their Devar Torah if they want to, or not. But the point is that I might insist on a kid giving some tzedakah from their bar mitzvah money. But in terms of the mitzvah project, I think that is something which I rejoice in with you and with the family at this time. Other thoughts, questions, hopes, worries, concerns? No. What's that? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
I can.
You can hear me? Okay. So if anyone has a question, feel free just to send me an email, even if it's something like, who provides the candy that gets thrown at the end of the service? We do. Who provides the challah? We do. What time do you plan on coming to take photos? The temple opens at 9, but my photographer wants to be there at 8. Okay, send me an email. That way we know and make sure somebody is at the temple at 8. Somebody won't be there if you don't email me, but we will make adjustments. So if anyone has a question, don't think it's, it could be a little small question, big question, anything, please just send me an email and I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. By the way, this is one more important thing to share with you. I have been a rabbi now for 25 years in my life. And over the course of my life, I cannot remember I cannot remember many bad bar mitzvahs. They're always beautiful and they're always good. And the reason why is because my goal is we're not here to make this something which is a bad experience for you. We're here to help make this a beautiful experience for you. We want this to be beautiful. We don't want this to be anything but meaningful and beautiful, which means that I don't want you to tell your kid, don't worry, they've got it under control. You can just kind of go hang out, play Xbox as much as you want to, and it doesn't matter. Obviously, it does matter. But that said, in the end, no matter what the circumstances are with your kid, we're going to be there to make sure that it's going to work out perfect. It's going to work out great for you. So I'm aware that not every kid is at the same level. I'm aware that some kids struggle with some things. Some are having a really hard time with Hebrew. Some are having a really hard time with chanting. Some are are going through personal issues, which are making it very complicated. There are family issues that are happening that are making things complicated. And I'm not obviously specifically talking about any one person. All I'm saying is that these things happen all the time. And in every single one of those cases, always, we make it work out in such a way that it becomes something meaningful and joyous, because that's the only goal. Anything else but meaningful and joyous is a failure. Okay, so and obviously I need help. I can't do it all alone, although I can do a lot of it. And what I'm just trying to do is reassure you, no matter what the circumstances are in your family, if you give me a chance to talk to me about it, if there's anything I can do to help, A, or B, just know, don't tell your kid this too much, but know that we're there to help and we got this with you. Don't worry. So let your worries be things which are completely out of my hands, like family issues, and who's coming into town, and how you're going to get this family member and that family member to interact. Like, okay, that's maybe a little bit more out of my hands. The stuff that happens at the party, you can worry about that. But the stuff that happens at the bar mitzvah, on the bima, I'm a partner with you in caring that it comes out as beautiful as possible. And you can rely on me to be there to make sure that that happens. And you can rely on me also to make sure that I recognize who your kid is, what their circumstances are, what your family circumstances are, and how it might affect what's going on in the bima, and making sure that all of those things are, anything which is causing stress and anxiety is minimized to the best that I can. So I really want to reassure you about that. Other questions? All right. All right, well, this has been fun. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out and be with me. I hope that everyone is feeling okay. By the way, you should know I've decided just to kind of like destigmatize this whole thing. I was COVID. I'm fine. I am fine now, but like not fully asymptomatic, but virtually. Point is that this is going around so much. Everyone seems to be getting this, and I hope that you are doing okay. You're being careful, and that your life isn't too crazy as a result of it. But nonetheless, I wish everyone the best health, nice weekend, and I really, really, really look forward to seeing you soon. So be well, everyone. Thank you. And if you need, by the way, this session will be on our YouTube site probably today, later today, or tomorrow. So in case you feel like you want to go back and hear anything again or look at anything again, you can go to our YouTube site and see the recording of this session. Again, if you didn't, just subscribe, because the more subscribers we get, I can't remember all the nuances of this, but YouTube basically has like this moment, this threshold that if you get a certain number of subscribers, then you can do more with your YouTube site, I think. So it has nothing to do with ads or anything. It just has to do with the flexibility that we have with the site. So subscribe to it and tell your parents to, and if you have their like passwords, just get on and subscribe to our site with their website, with their passwords. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Take care and be well. All right, Jill, I'll see you later.